President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday agreed to review and transmit the recommended new minimum wage as an executive bill to the National Assembly for passage. The president, who was speaking when the tripartite committee for the review of the new minimum wage submitted his report, says government is always committed to the welfare of its workforce.
I understand on the government side, the concerns raised were around affordability. That today many states struggle to meet their existing salary requirements. On the other side, the points raised focused on the need for any increase to be meaningful. In a way, both arguments are valid. I want to assure you all that we will immediately put in place the necessary machinery that will close out these open areas. Our plan is to transmit the executive bill to the National Assembly for the passage within the shortest possible time. I am fully committed to having a new National Minimum Wage Act in the very near future. Let me use this opportunity to recognize the leadership of the organized labor and private sector, as well as representatives of state and federal government for all your hard work. The fact that we are here today is a notable achievement. As the executive arm commences its review of your submission, we will continue to engage you all in closing any open areas presented in this report. I therefore would like to ask for your patience and understanding in the coming weeks.
Chairman of the Tripartite Committee, Ms. Ama Pepo, in her opening remarks says the committee carefully weighed the demand of the Nigerian workers and the organized private sector before arriving at the figures submitted.
After carefully weighing these critical factors and bearing in mind the overriding interests of the economy, the committee, while noting the offer of 24,000 by the federal government, is recommending an increase in the existing national minimum wage from 18,000 naira to 30,000 naira. We believe that the implementation of the recommended minimum wage will no doubt boost the purchasing power of workers, increase consumption expenditure, and ultimately stimulate business and overall economic growth. The committee has also provided a draft National Minimum Wage Bill 2018 for consideration by governments. We strongly believe that the enactment of the draft bill into law is very critical to the operation and future reviews of the national minimum wage.
On his part, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Waba, says if the 30,000 naira proposed is implemented, it will go a long way to ameliorate the pains of the Nigerian worker.
For nearly 1 year, on this very important issue that affects the life of every working family, we thought, I think it's appropriate for this report to be submitted to Mr. President, and I think we have fulfilled all righteousness by making sure that the report is submitted. And as President has promised, giving it accelerated consideration will also help extremely to make sure that something comes to the pocket of Nigerian worker to actually address the challenges of, especially the challenges in the economy that have also affected the workers.
It will be recalled that the organized labor called off its indefinite nationwide strike initially planned for Tuesday, the 6th of November, following the meeting with the federal government. From Abuja, I'm Festus Ejiroga Nefifen for Ben Television.
Nigerian Senate is on the verge of investigating the diversion of $105 billion from the Nigerian liquefied natural gas (LNG) dividend to build up the shortfall between the landing cost and pump price of the premium motor spirit petrol. Raising a point of order during the Tuesday plenary, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Gas, Senator Basi Akpan, asked the upper chamber to give approval for the committee to investigate the withdrawal and payment. He said the fund belonging to the three arm of government and described NNPC withdrawal of the fund as illegal.
The Senate Committee on Gas has received several calls, complaints, and questions from the general public through phone calls, emails, on the basis of what has been trending in the newspapers and the social media on the unauthorized withdrawal of over $1 billion from the proceeds of LNG dividends account by the NNPC. Mr. President, the LNG dividend account proceeds belongs to the three tiers of government and comes under the Consolidated Revenue Funds account. Therefore, Mr. President, any unauthorized withdrawal from this account without the approval of the National Assembly or any other structure of government is therefore deemed to be illegal, Mr. President. I therefore seek the leave of Mr. President that to allow the Senate Committee on Gas investigate this withdrawal and other withdrawals and the way and manner the accounts of LNG proceeds is treated by the NNPC and report back to the Senate, Mr. President.
The President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, in his ruling mandated the committee to proceed with the probe. President Muhammadu Buhari has transmitted the 2019-2021 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper to the Senate for consideration and approval. Senate President Bukola Saraki a speedy consideration in order to aid executive to conclude work on 2019 budget. Also, the Senate received President Buhari's request to confirm the appointment of Abike Dabiri Arewa as the chairman, chief executive officer of Nigerian Diaspora Commission.
The federal government of Nigeria has described as fake a story credited to the United States Department of Agriculture Market and Trade report, stating that Nigeria imported about 3 million metric tons of rice in 2018, which is an increase of 400 metric tons imported in 2017. Briefing State House correspondent at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja, Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed says statistics available clearly shows that these claims are false, as government agencies responsible for such imports are not aware of such claims.
These facts fly in the face of the government's claim of what it achieved in the area of rice production. I want to say categorically that that story is false. Predictably, the Atiku media organization, this afternoon, latched onto the story. We are not surprised. So I want to say categorically that story is fake, and that the Atiku media organization also goofed. Now, immediately that story broke out, I contacted both the central bank and the Controller General of the Customs, had meetings with the Rice Producers Association and also with the millers. And they all confirm this story is not true. For starters, you can't import rice without a Form M being approved. You can't import rice a letter of credit being opened. So we challenge the U.S. Department of Agriculture to provide evidence that Form M was opened to bring in 400 metric tons of rice over and above that of last year, and that letter of credits were open for this.
Lai Mohammed said, though smuggling can't be ruled out, but such activity would have been covered by the relevant agencies.
You cannot claim that smuggled rice is part of rice imported legally into the country. Now, yes, we do know that we have a challenge with smuggled rice, but we're taking steps to ensure that this menace is contained. You remember that we set up a tripartite committee between Benin and Nigeria, comprising of the three ministers, of the two ministers of finance and agriculture, and the minister of and the customs controller of both countries. Two, we've been able to achieve an agreement with the Benin president to allow Nigerian customs officials to be present at the Cotonou port. And we know that only about a week ago, Mr. President jointly commissioned the border, the building. These are all in Benin Republic. These are all attempts that are being made to contain smuggling.
It will be recalled that the United States Department of Agriculture World Market and Trade Report have this position sometimes in October and was recently amplified by Nigerian media. The report also stated that Nigeria's local rice production dropped from 2016 to 2018 compared to 2015. The report is contrary to several claims by the Nigerian government that local rice production has increased while importation has dropped by up to 90%. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroge Nefifen for Ben Television.
The Nigerian Senate has mandated its Committee on Police Affairs to investigate the alleged assassination attempt on the Deputy Senate President Ike Kremadu and members of his family. It will recall that Kremadu Apo's Abuja residence was invaded by armed men who evaded security as early as 4 a.m. on Tuesday. Kremadu narrated the ordeal to his colleague at plenary on Tuesday, noting that one of the armed men was arrested.
God eventually caught one of them, and then the rest escaped. And then we were able to hand over that one to the police, who are now investigating the matter. But the annoying aspect of it, or the one that's very worrisome, is at this point, I called the IG of police. His phone was off. I called some of his aides, and whom I have their numbers. The phone rang out, and nobody had replied till now. I called the DIG operations severally, up to about 6, until I left my house, nobody showed up. I now insisted that my people should invite the DPO in charge of our police station. We didn't see him until about 5:30. They sent his 2IC who came, and we showed him what happened. He saw some of the dangerous weapons that were left behind by those people when they ran away, including a jack a knife, and some other dangerous weapon. So he left and said that the DPO was coming. Until I left my house by 9, the DPO had not come. So the problem here is that nobody is safe in this country. I just want to appeal to my colleagues and to the general public that we'll all continue to be prayerful and be conscious of our private security, because it appears now that the security of our lives now is no more in the hands of government, but in the hands of our Almighty God. So this is a very sad development. I do believe that it is time for all of us to wake up to deal with the issue of insecurity in this country, especially in Abuja. And as I said, it's very, very worrisome. But in all of this, I thank God that I'm alive to tell this story.
Senate President Bukola Saraki berated Nigerian police for their alleged late response to Ekremadu's emergency call. He also mandated the committee to follow up on the investigation by the police.
As you say, it's under investigation now, but it's unfortunate, the security situation in Abuja. More disturbing is the poor response by the police. I hope that the police are not being partisan in the way they treat cases of such, and I hope that the chairman of the police will go and find out what exactly happened so that they can't ensure that this kind of thing, because how at your level as Deputy Senate President, as of today now, over 7 hours after the event, no response at all. I think it's very unfortunate. But we'll wait till the outcome of the investigation. But the most important thing, we thank the Almighty God that you are here with us, and we'll continue to do our best to see how we can address the security situation. We here in the Senate and Parliament and Congress, the National Assembly, have continued to see what we can do to give support to the security agents. But definitely there are issues here that need to be addressed in finding out how to improve the security situation here, not only in Abuja, but across the country. The leadership of the police really need to sit up and address these issues. We wait to find out the outcome of the report. In the meantime, the chairman of the police should get in touch with the police and report back to him at the end of today to try to explain why there's no response